Hi there, welcome to GetIndieGaming, where we continue the series looking over and into the best indie video games you otherwise might never have heard of. You can find links to all of the games featured in this video down in the description, and on that, let's crack on with our indie game hidden gems for October 2021. Let's begin with Webbed, which came out on PC the September the 9th just gone. Made in Game Maker, Webbed is an utter delight. I was lucky enough to have been given a code for review purposes by the publisher and was able to play through this in around 4 or so hours on a long and lazy Sunday afternoon. As you can probably tell, Webbed has you playing as a tiny jumpy spider, with you on a quest to rescue your webmate, having been kidnapped by a strangely frightening looking bowerbird. Naturally enough, you being a spider means going about the place by way of casting webs, and it's in this particular element of gameplay which puts Web on a par with such games as Flint Hook. After all, the use of the webs to get from point A to point B is a type of grapple hook, although the implementation here is so subtle, so sublime and natural. The way you move and the momentum you create while arching across the level just feels so perfectly implemented. The controls, and dare I say it, the feeling of weight again, well, it's also well put together, and it's this feeling of perfect locomotion that has me popping back to play it again and again. I can honestly urge you to play this, even if, like one of us here at GetIndieGaming, you hate spiders. There's an accessibility option which turns you and all the other arachnids into bouncy little balls, which is a wonderful nod to those who usually might not be able to play this. Webbed is a triumph, and here's hoping it makes it onto consoles. Up now, and like Webbed, a game which came out in September just gone. A Juggler's Tale takes a unique approach in using puppet-based gameplay, where here, the strings of the puppet are an integral part of the game. You play as Abby, within a tale as told within a marionette puppet show within a bar. While you might think the game is largely to be heavily based on platforming, it's best going into it with the view this is a puzzler with some platforming sections. Although what's key in the progression of what's a short game coming in at under 2 hours is the view that this game is really a collection of interconnected puzzles where exploration of the environment and some good old-fashioned common sense will see you right. In places, particularly with the views across fields, rivers and lakes, the game is particularly beautiful. One quick word of warning though, at the beginning it is easy to be put off by the narrator and his use of barely rhyming couplets, although please battle through this early annoyance, as the narration only improves the deeper you get. As I mentioned already, this is a short game, and again, to be honest, there's very little reason to play it once more after the credits have rolled, although don't let that put you off. It is a compelling product that's surprisingly dark in places, and a fine first effort from a debut studio. Something we didn't see until only a few weeks ago. Now, this really is another brilliant game, and while it does owe more than a passing nod to Vlambeer's World War II aerial shooter that is Luftrausers, there's enough here to set it aside from being a simple, if technically brilliant, tribute. Jet Lancer works so well because of how responsive and natural the controls feel. You pilot your experimental craft by way of using, well, at least on a controller, the controller's triggers, and after a short period of acclimatization, you're able to pull off some seriously impressive and equally satisfying maneuvers. Either way, Jet Lancer also happens to look and sound wonderful. The explosions are a real treat, and while some of the gameplay can get a little bit samey, if you enjoy a good old aerial shooter and like us missed this the first time round, this one's bags of fun with it out on PC via Steam and also the Nintendo Switch. Coming up next, let's wind back the clock all the way to late 2017, when GetIndieGaming was under a year old, with us still getting to grips with the kind of games we wanted to cover. With that in mind, Far From Noise was one of the first games we took a great interest in terms of it being far different from what we'd normally cover. At its heart, Far From Noise is an interactive graphic novel, and with it having a single scene, the game's greatness comes from its writing and how the developers are able to tease out so many different emotions and thoughts from the player, well, without traditional gameplay techniques. Over the course of, again, a couple of hours, I found myself giggling, thinking about my own life choices, and looking into a few deep and bleak topics too. Quite naturally, even after this time, this won't be for everybody, and yet I'm fairly sure it'll appeal to many of you out there, with it available on PC, PlayStation 4, and also over on iOS. Continuing the cozy afternoon on a wet Sunday kind of vibe, we have A Winding Path. This came out in late August of this year, and with under 10 reviews on its Steam homepage, it's probably one of the least played games we had the pleasure of enjoying for quite some time. The hand-drawn aesthetic is quite enchanting, with it offering players a relaxed experience with the odd puzzle to solve from time to time. Again, this is another short game with perhaps between 2 to 4 hours if you want to complete everything, although again, this one sits here due to its storytelling and world building. The writing is often extremely relatable, with this working across many different levels. So yes, I really enjoyed this and hope others who might see this here go and pick it up too. As always, you can find links to this and all of the other games in this video down there in the video's description. Up next, and something for all us cat owners, or not, although if you are, it will probably help your enjoyment of Milo and the Magpies even more, which came out this September just gone via Steam. It's a point-and-click observation kind of game where you can feel mightily clever about spotting the thing or things the designers want you to, and also feel a little bit silly when such details are clearly there on screen, somewhere, failing to make a connection with my 40-something-year-old grey matter. It's also very pretty, with the scenes having just the right amount of realism with touching details, which all in, together with the depiction of the cat, which all of its mannerisms are so cleverly depicted, makes Milo and the Magpies another little treat. And lastly, for this edition of our series of hidden gems, we're upping the ante here with something we freely admit we missed out on, with us taking a break over the course of the September that's just passed. So yes, Unmetal might not be a hidden gem for too long, although for now at least, even though it only came out towards the end of last month, we're getting the feeling that there should be more buzz on this than there currently is. All of this is a solidly tongue-in-cheek take on the Metal Gear titles from the late 90s. I firmly remember the afternoon I finished the first Metal Gear Solid game while in my second year at college, and while this doesn't quite live up to that punching the air kind of joy feeling, Unmetal does a really good job of being silly and yet relevant, with there being plenty of laugh-out-loud sections, with the game and all of its action getting better the longer and more you play. While this episode of our Hidden Gems is largely focused on short games, this one clocks in at well over the 12-hour mark, and I'd happily recommend it to anyone who has even the vaguest memories of time spent back in the day with these kind of classic stealth action games from the 8-bit era. So there we go, with that, we bid you a fond farewell, with us asking if you could kindly click the like button and subscribe to the channel if you've yet to do so. Also, feel free to drop us a comment down in the comment section, and while we can't respond to everybody, we do read everything that gets posted. Once again, many thanks, and we'll see you all again here next time for another indie game video.